All right, guys, this is take two. The first one was 28 minutes long. I'm not going to do that to you. So let's get straight to it. This is a viewer requested reading on George Kavassilas. And I'm hoping or wondering if the viewer that requested this, why did you ask it? Is it because you felt a little, you liked the message, but felt a little something, something? And I would say, yeah, me too. So hopefully this interpretation will maybe shed some light that resonates with you or not. Okay, so I've heard of George from a long time ago. He's been around for a long time. And so I obviously had to tune in, and I remember why I never tuned in again. Um, yeah, so uh, what I can say in general, I'm trying to make this really quick. The message that he talks about now, he had a totally different message before, is all about going within. And I think beautiful, of course, like that's the greatest message ever to teach. Um, but however, that message, even though I totally agree with it, I was having a difficult time listening to him speak. And I think, and the underlying energy that I felt with that is like, it is a pushing away energy force, like somebody's trying to force feed me something. And I became very tired trying to listen to him. So what I did was I just closed my eyes and I just let the body react to things that he was saying. And of course, it stayed as long as he's talking about going within and those kinds of things, the body was very, very happy with that and very in alignment. Great. And then started to going into really knocking down some of the new age concept. I mean, I have my own issues with the new age, but some of these spiritual concepts that are not coming from the new age, things like, well, I'm going to say the word chakra, but chakras, kundalini, whatever, the third eye, pineal gland, and channeling. That's when my body started collapsing. And what I and so what I can say is, and what I got later is that, the message going within 100%, but some of these theories that come from the people that say it's the new cage and now everything in the matrix, everything that you're getting from the new age community or spiritual teachings is all wrong, is all from the controllers. And I would say, hey, that kind of thinking is so narrow minded, and it's like throwing everything out and now just go within. And what I get is that no, these are half truths. So on those topics, even though I do plan on making some videos, maybe sharing what I got, because I was like curious, okay, maybe I misunderstood things, or yeah, here's what I got. So use your own intuitive sense if whether it's on Kundalini, the chakras, whatever. So yeah, where do I want to go with this? So, yeah, I also felt that forcing energy, which is really hard to listen to, but it'll make sense in a bit. So, when I first tuned in, and I did sense, I do in that pushing, talking, so many words, so many details, energy, what I could detect is I said, I feel like there's some fear there. And I know that sounds weird, but that's what I got. And I kind of had that come up as a confirmation. However, so when I tuned in just now to get some symbols, imagery, um, what I got was, okay, a picture of being in a piano bar, and there's this big guy with a cigar sitting there, and he is running his mouth. He's got an audience, and I'm talking you know what I'm talking about, girls, you know what I'm talking about. And he's right about everything. Like he's trying to convince you, blah, blah, blah. And he's always going to be right, right? And then the next thing that I saw was the Hindenburg blimp going by. And who knew this blimp would have a spiritual meaning? But it truly fits. And it's the Hindenburg blimp spiritual meaning is grand visions or stories that are built on unstable ground, meaning there's a lot of hubris. And that's what I mean. There's a lot of talk coming out, a lot of stories and lots of information that is a bit of hubris and built on half truths or foundations that are not uh, fully sturdy. Okay, let's put it that way. Let's see. Oh, and let me go back. I didn't go back. I didn't even mention it. Of the archetype that I got was the juggler. Who knew? Once again, there was a juggler archetype. Saw this guy juggling on a unicycle, and what the internet says for the juggler archetype is I could see this in him. I really couldn't pull a meaning of a juggler except for boy, when he talks, he juggles a lot of different topics, a lot of like stuff that is not even relevant to his true main teaching. So a lot of stuff, a lot of topics throwing in the air. But the juggler archetype represents a personality that is investigative in nature, likes to search out, very curious about things. I don't know, and that this person thrives on situations where they are here to persuade people. Once again, the guy in the bar, and that's the energy. I'm here to persuade you. Persuade you. There's a reason for that. But also, this being on a unicycle is that, first of all, that's a very shaky ground and it's a narrow path. And what I see is it's a narrow mindedness to the mind, perhaps, which, okay, I used to believe this and that now I believe this and I'm throwing out everything. And so you have like it's not an open field. Do you understand what I'm saying? Okay, so that's the juggler. Now, going back to what is this hubris? What is this heavy ego energy that you're feeling? Why am I being this energy like stop trying to convince me? And the motivation behind it, which I thought was fear, and I got a no, and the image that I got though is I got a shark chasing him, which I thought was fear. But actually it's more critically, it's survival. So it is it's fear of survival. I got a yes. Excuse me, I have to take a little sip. A little leftover coffee. Um, and what's happened, what I'm receiving is what I felt was this person the mind has has made this person take on some kind of image. And I asked, is this like the savior or hero image? And I got a no, but then I go, oh, it's the rebel image or the contrarian image. Ding, ding, ding. And that's somebody, that's the rebel with a fight. I'm going to fight the system and I'm going to, everything that you've been taught, I'm going to say is the opposite. So that's a contrarian rebel type energy. And I feel that 100%. And it fits. And where was I going with that? Yeah, there's a reason for this, for that coming on and how it interacts. Okay, so let me just go through my notes, trying to be really fast. Look, he truly believes what he's teaching, even though there's some half truth. It's fine. Half of what I say is probably half truth. So we're all in the same boat, brother. Okay, grand vision, blah blah blah. Okay, now for compassionate understanding that will tie all this together, I got hexagram or gene key 23, and really the gene key aspect really details this. Um, yes, going back to the rebel image or the contrarian or this kind of hero image part of it, I sense that from his own words, what he said in an interview, and it was very, very telling. And he was like telling my story, blah, blah, blah. And he goes, yeah, and I've had all this knowledge. And I now feel like I have to. I have a sense of responsibility to share this with others, to teach others. And the underlying tone that I picked up on is I don't really want to be doing this, or something about doing this is making me uncomfortable. There's some fear in there, but the mind has created a guilt energy. If I don't do this, I'm not fulfilling my rebel, contrarian, teacher, savior, whatever image, right? Okay. And this is what I got in Gene Key 23. Part of it is there's this guilt from a sense of responsibility. Okay, we got that. Now, moving further down into this Gene Key, the underlying fear of Gene Key 23 talks about the fear of being excluded by others. And it's oh, I wish I wouldn't have closed the book. Let me see if I can hold on. Whoa, I don't want to make this too long. Okay. 23. This is all about how we use our words to persuade others. Okay. And the shadow of this Gene Key is complexity. And this is what also bugged me in listening to one of his interviews, or several, and many people have, if you go on Reddit, you'll see that, right off the bat, beginning of the interview, a caller or whatever sends in a question, very simple question, big question, like, why are we here? Blah, blah, blah. And then the interviewer subsequently asked some questions in the interview, and George never answered the question. Never. He just was like, oh, hubris, isn't that what a way to start off with the big questions? And in my experience, and then blah blah blah, and then going off on a whole, this is like a political move, going off on a whole story full of details and complexities, and never answering the most basic question. And that happened throughout the whole interview, and that is very, very telling. Okay, complexity. And here's what happens. It's this fear of being excluded. Like, if I say what I really feel, others are not going to think. And my message, this knowledge, I don't know, it's all convoluted, but you get it. I'm trying to talk so fast. So anyway, let me just read this and it will make perfect sense. The language pattern of such people tends to overcomplicate and miss the essential meaning of things. They spend an enormous amount of energy trying to be heard, only to find that they are constantly pushed away. These people tend to talk in circles, over explaining everything in an unconscious attempt to control the environment, to control their own fear or anger or whatever. And it also says in here that when you're listening to somebody like that, it exhausts you because it's too much. Like, you never get a resolve of what you want to learn or the answer. So maybe that is some compassionate understanding for what may be bothering you in your field if you have a difficult time listening to him, right? Yeah. Let me see. Okay, and now his gift, his gift that he gives to people, this really kind of like quiet little gift he gives to others, is Gene Key 13. And it's called, or hexagram, it's called the Fellowship of Man. And it's the ability, excuse me, which he talks about a lot, is the ability to learn from your mistakes, to go, oh, blah, 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 this didn't work. And now I change my ways. There's a transformation. I see something different and I move on. He's very good at this. He shares this all the time in his interviews, like, oh, I did this wrong, or I had this false belief, and blah, blah, blah. And that in turn leads to discernment and empathy for others. And so he has the ability to, yeah, communicate and empathize and draw people in to say, yeah, oh, okay, so you're channeling and you realize you were channeling so I totally get that. That happened to me. And this is what you can do with it, start going inward. So that is a beautiful lesson, teaching others from your own mistakes and really empathizing with people. Okay. And what I got later in the chakra thing, he has a big heart. And he's really sincere in wanting to help people in that way. Okay. So it's beautiful. I have that gift as well. Anyway, it's a beautiful gift. Listening, just being able to listen and discern and learn from your own mistakes and move on. Okay. Um, so base chakra, I hate using that word chakra now, and I'll tell you why in another video. I get like a little chocolate bar, me and my chocolate, chocolate bar, and then like a bark, like tree bark or cinnamon bark. I didn't look it up, but it's pretty good grounding. I like maybe could use a little bit more, but still, there's a stableness there, a sweetness there. And then for the interpersonal area, what I got was a chocolate cake. And but the chocolate cake, when I bit into it, it was dry, lacking richness and moisture. And I think that, and I had to spit it out. It was not what it appeared to be. So I would say this kind of can go back to the expression. Very difficult to have good relationships with people if you can't hear them, if you can't respond to what they're asking and you're just kind of like talking over them and talk. So, just a little bit of wonkiness there. It's still a chocolate cake. So I think that you know, there is an understanding and an empathy, but just not a lot of moisture and richness. Okay, solar plexus. Am I shining my light? Am I doing what my inner truth is wanting me to do? And remember, I said that, I felt that he doesn't really want to be doing what he's doing. I don't know. That could just be my interpretation. It could be completely wrong. However, when I said the solar plexus, like myself, I saw a little white flag coming up. And then again, I saw, what is it with the blimp, the Hindenburg coming back again. And so I could take that as, okay, what he is expressing and shining out into the world is not truly his inner truth expression, that the mind has kind of taken control. Inner truth has kind of waved the white flag. And it's like the hubris of the ego or the mind has taken control, taken on this image. Okay. Which is sad because I think that there's more there for him because of his compassionate heart, his discernment. It could, like, his true expression could be so much more rich and full of wisdom and depth. I really feel that. Okay. Who am I to say? Yeah, forgive me. Why am I doing these videos? Okay. For the heart, I went to reach out and I felt like little spikes. And then, I'm looking at a bigger picture and then I see like a transparent plexiglass with little spikes and just a shadow, like a faded out shadow of him back there. And I would say, yeah, this makes sense. There's a protective energy. If you're not expressing your truth, I don't know, or there's that little bit of, I don't know. Anyway, it's a protection. Although he is transparent about his heart. But there's a protective energy. Like you can't really, because I'm not expressing my inner truth and I'm taking on this image, perhaps you can't see with full clarity who I really am. But when I check to feel into his heart, oh, it's a good heart, full heart. Yeah, I think it really wants to express in a different way. Throat chakra, hearing. Over here, the intuitive feminine side. Um, I heard like the little ting ting, those little timpan, whatever things, and then like glass breaking, like, oh, something went wrong. And over here was this big bass drum, which is, signifying for me, the analytical mind bass drum is overriding the intuition, the feminine aspect, the heart in his expression, along with that fear, like, oh, I have to persuade people because it's my responsibility. So maybe that's what you're feeling. Okay. Overall, good guy, great teachings. Some things are, can't, in my opinion, you can't throw every spiritual teaching out and just say go within. And like, no, I think there's some wiggle room on some things. So anyway, overall, good. Just if you're a little bit unnerved by the mechanics of expression, maybe this will be helpful and help you keep listening. Okay, that's all for now. Bye.